The Misdescended, Principles of Ancestral Deception. We can imagine the many destinies of the misdescended. That is, the one who emerges as the intended miscalculation of a certain wave, a devious counterstrand injected into the bloodstreams of history and memory in order to invite the rise of the false heir. Still, this figure, with no official right to being, is preceded by another shadow, that of the treacherous forerunner or progenitor, part insidious, part rogue, part malevolent. Let us trace their dreams of embryonic conspiracy, the intricate methods of that pseudo-ancestor whose trickery, storytelling, image-making, forged artifacts wheels forward the inexistent. Principle 1. Misdirection. The misdescended is one led astray in space, broken tightrope. Thus the ancestor becomes the artificial mapmaker in a cartography of wrong turns in order to induce disorientation and futile wandering. Object 1. 24 drawings of relics featuring animal physiologies, geometric designs, or sages with half-shut eyelids. For these diagrams allow the ancestor to capture visitors in the emblematic chasm of a no-man's land. Principle 2. Miscarriage. The misdescended is one lost in time, broken hourglass. Thus the ancestor becomes the conductor of a wicked eternity, quickening, inertia, the unborn, circulating temporal lapses and spirals that blur ages together in a madman's clock. Object 2. 7 quasi-larval sculptures of entities caught in moments of evolutionary transition, the vague promise of limbs and organs, horns, legs, spinal cords, evoking some first breaths of emergence from the universal tar. For these misshapen models allow the ancestor to convey visions of the origin that are riddled with trapdoors and fatal mineshafts. Principle 3. Misinformation. The misdescended is one confused or even gone mad in the domain of knowing. Thus the ancestor plays games with consciousness through the deployment of misleading myths, legends, rumors, analogies, speculations, anti-prophecies, and circular reasoning, spinning webs of misunderstanding through the proliferation of symbols that fulfill no actual expectation of meaning. Object 3. An artificial intelligence simulation draped across white walls in the corner. At its center, an unclassifiable creature of algorithmically determined motions who flails and roams through trees according to external soundscapes. For this jungle predator allows the ancestor to wrest perception towards the most complex epistemologies of the unformed and the malformed. Principle 4. Misnomer. The misdescended is one who carries an imposter name, a linguistic stigma inscribed upon their forehead. Thus the ancestor once saw themselves as a calligrapher of fictive denominations, imposing titles that cursed all lineal followers to disrepute, disgrace, or shame, marks of condemned aftermath. Object 4. Face casts and masks aligned everywhere throughout the dim-lit room, indicators of a matrix of all pretending, for they are crafted by the ancestor to filter identity through prisms of concealment and disguise. Principle 5. Miscreant. The misdescended is one abandoned by the earth itself, that the world turns not for them. Thus the ancestor becomes a host of terrible negligence, orphaning guests at a banquet for the nowhere and the nothing, ensuring that all successors slide into banishment, evicted from the house of creation and consigned only to that sphere of violation where angels of death and forsakenness hover. Object 5. Iconographic portraits of deities in immolated states, heads inflamed, bodies twisting amid cosmic fire and lunar orbs. For these assist the ancestor in beginning their cruel dance to the outside. Principle 6. Misgiving. The misdescended is one plagued by seemingly immemorial fears, made to shiver. Thus the ancestor masters arts of the tremulous and the convulsive, playing dread like a piano across the continuum of experience, not relying upon primordial horror, but rather composing new morphologies of disaster and intimate despair for their progeny to come. Object 6. Ritual daggers situated casually amidst other implements, idols, metallic tools, scientific instruments, each one an omen to a certain seamless violence piercing the heart of this illusory civilizational facade. For they belong to the merciless grip of that ancestor who would tell lies to terrorize the forthcoming. Principle 7. Misanthropy. The misdescended is one who harbors some inexplicable distaste for the human, a poison molecule of generational inheritance born by the initial malice of the first prototype. Thus the ancestor seeks the radical undoing of the very race begun in their veins, if only to free the future to pure estrangement. Object 7. A skeletal corpse outstretched in its burial tomb, excavated by the bone collectors of a still unspoken era, for the ancestor tempts endgame trajectories in every gesture of this vault, energies of imminent collapse. So it is that this site of neo-archaeological fragments is also the theater of operation for a force that binds together the ancient and the eventual in its own delicate ring, one fabricated through games of mischief, misfire, and mistake. Perhaps we must enter these hallucinations of the elder in order to traverse the final boundary of our experiment, and thereby purchase some secret share of endurance before this crypt is closed once again and forever.